Wayne.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you
Uh,
doing?
I'm doing good. How's it going, everyone? Wayne the Unknown here, and welcome to another second live episode for my channel's Geeking Out series, where we basically discuss everything nerd and geek related. I'm joined here by my good friend Kyra's Cosplay, and we are going to be discussing our thoughts on the very first episode of HBO Max's The Last just recently came out this week, I believe.
I know, isn't that crazy? Finally,
Oh,
after 10 years.
jeez. I mean, the game came out originally for PS3 back in 2013, and then it came out again for a quote unquote remaster, which I don't even count as a remaster. And then last year, I think, they came out with the official remaster which is called Part 1. Oh man, yeah.
I think the game's like that.
I
I'm
was
really feeling old.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm glad, there was a series. I was a little skeptical at first. I remember years prior, there was always talks about a live action. You always see these fan made cast, or this person gonna be playing it,
Oh,
or that
yeah.
person gonna be playing it. I guess to begin, like I always start these reviews, what were your thoughts when you first heard that they're making a Last of Us TV show?
Honestly, I was really nervous at first because I kind of got my start into, more the geeky media through anime, and most live action anime adaptations are trash. I don't care if anyone disagrees with me. That is the truth. Okay, they suck.
I mean, you're not wrong. The same can be said for certain video games as well.
I mean, just like any of the Death Note redos, awful. They're all terrible. So I was really nervous, but then I saw that they cast Pedro Pascal for Joel, and I felt a lot better.
Oh, I mean, he just came with, Mandalorian. And then prior to that, he was on the other HBO Max series, Game of Thrones, which I've
I
never
loved
seen
him in
and
Game
will
of
probably never
Thrones.
see.
It's a lot.
I just kind of find it I just kind of find it ironic before we talk about episode 1. And the last those who are listening to this or watching this, I find it ironic in Game of Thrones he plays as a character who gets his head bashed in, and now he's playing as a character who in the video game version, spoilers alert, who haven't played Last of Us Part 2, because there's gonna be a lot of spoilers, gets his head bashed in a muscular person. I'm just
kind of
saying,
I'm still
it's kind of ironic that I know it still hurts. I don't think if we get, a season based off Part 2, I'm not looking forward to that scene. I'm just
That's gonna be
saying,
tough.
with people make oh yeah, no, I mean, this watching the first episode was something else. I guess, man. But you're excited though that they came out with a season 1, I think this is an 8-part. I think they said this is going to be an 8-episode weekly series from what I've
Yeah,
heard
something
and
like
seen.
that.
But I'm glad they're
I'm
releasing it weekly and not like, a
all at
whole
once.
oh god, no. No. I'm sorry, but I have to say I'm glad that HBO, all these streaming services are making that choice to go in release weekly. Like,
It's good for my own personal benefit that it doesn't come out all at once, or I probably would have watched the whole thing by now and my eyes would be square.
oh yeah, no. Oh yeah, no. I'm like, okay, I can wait. I can wait 2 more days. I can wait 2 more days for episode 2, which we will be also discussing what our predetermined thoughts are gonna be based on where they're going. So, episode 1, they definitely got it almost scene for scene from the game, but they've added in a few things. What were your thoughts in the beginning of the first episode when we're introduced to the scientist on the ABC talk show in 1968?
I definitely liked that segment. I thought it was a very straightforward, simple, interesting way to introduce the the cordyceps and the lore behind the virus. Yeah, I loved that. I don't know why they chose that time period, but I'm not too
I
concerned.
mean, it makes sense, and I will say, the creators of the show, who all also were behind the game, definitely did their research,
Yes.
because that thing they talk about is an actual fungal virus that can take over,
Yes.
small animals and bugs, which you don't really see a whole lot of in this episode. You see it a lot in the game. And I know that for the show, they had to change the concept from the spores to tendrils, which I guess was an original concept in the game, but they never did that.
Right. I have always liked I've seen my fair share of zombie stuff, like who hasn't? But I've always really liked the lore behind the cordyceps because it felt very believable, very realistic, more than, let's say The Walking Dead, where the dead are just straight up reanimated. I'm like, okay, so this person is still technically alive. It's a fungal infection. It does exist in reality. So I've always been a fan of that, at least
Oh
in The
yeah,
Last of
no,
Us.
that's the one thing I like. And for anyone who hasn't played The Last of Us, they're not zombies; they're infected. It's a fungal infection, which they kind of explain in the show. They explain more than they did in the game, because in the game, during like during the intro of the game, where during the intro credits, they're talking about how the quote unquote fireflies are responsible for the attack and everything. But from what I've seen in this one, it's, I guess, oh god, what was it? It was like earlier in the episode, it talked about Jakarta and everything, how that's like the main, from what I've heard. I guess Jakarta is the main source of flour and everything, and you see people like their neighbors eating stuff made from flour, but not Sarah or Tommy or Joel. And I guess that's one of the spreaders.
Fascinating. I'm really excited to see where the show goes. I was baffled when I turned on the show. And, there are, of course, differences between the show and the game, but I was watching the
Hmm.
show and it felt like they kept the vibe the same. I was like, okay, it's not shot for shot, but not comparing the two directly, it certainly feels like it.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I feel like, and this is my opinion when it comes to making stuff based off of video games. I think it's nice when they actually add in things that weren't in the original source material, because it makes it more interesting, in my opinion,
For
especially with
sure.
this show. Like, in the game, it shows Sarah giving Joel a new watch for
Right.
his birthday, but in the show, it shows Sarah going to get the watch fixed and everything by stealing like $20 from his drawer and going to getting it fixed. Which I'm not sure if that was really needed, but I guess to add airtime, because this show, that first episode was an hour and a half fucking long.
Yeah, I have to admit, I couldn't get around to it for a couple days. It was a bummer. My friend's like, hurry up, watch it. We have to talk about it. And I was like, hold on, I have to wait until I can carve out 90 minutes to sit down and watch it. And I heard that the first episode was originally going to be 2, and then they combined it. And honestly, when I sat down to watch it, I'm really happy they combined them, and it did not feel like 90 minutes. Like that was a very
Oh
fast
no.
90 minutes.
No, it felt really fast. I mean, from that first 4 or 5 minute scene of 1968, and then going to 2003, which the show takes place, and it takes place in 2003, and then it takes place in our present day 2023. Unlike the game, which took place in 2013 and then jumped up to 2033.
Yeah, hitting a little too close to home here.
I mean, with what just happened the past 2 years, yeah, I could see what might have been.
Honestly, okay, so
Oh.
that is one thing. Definitely now that I have lived through a global pandemic, I must confess, I did go turn on the game and I wanted to compare the intro of the game to the episode. And I love that they had more build up in the show. Like you see them living their normal lives
Oh
and it's
yeah.
kind of a slow build up and then suddenly like everything's on fire and exploding because that felt more believable after what I have lived through versus the game. It's like, maybe 5 minutes and then the game's just off and running and people are getting infected right away.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, someone's made a post on TikTok how the show takes place in 2003, that people dealt with a Y2K 9/11 only to be, wiped out by a fungal virus. I'm not making any jokes of 9/11. I'm just saying, what year the show takes place in the early 2000s, like
Right.
just to be wiped out by a fungal virus. It's pretty crazy. I guess your thoughts on the characters and the people to play them. Your thoughts on the gal they cast as Sarah?
So I'm not gonna get too picky with like how close people look to their game character. I
I mean
mean,
that.
Pedro Pascal, he looks pretty close to Joel's in-game model. Like, kudos to them for doing that. But I just, as long as he kind of feels right, he's got like that Southern construction worker,
Oh
ex-army
yeah,
guy. I'm like, okay, so they nailed that. Sarah, I wasn't really too concerned about. I think she was blonde
yeah.
in the
She was
original
she was
game.
she was blonde, and some people were nitpicky about that. I will say though, I do like the fact that they have her wear the exact same shirt that Sarah wore in the game.
Yes, that's pretty cool. I don't know if she is, but Sarah's actor comes off to me as mixed race, and that's just kind of refreshing for me. So I'm like, okay, cool. She's not blonde. She's, you know,
And
some
there's and
other
there's and there's
group.
nothing wrong with that. It's not the show being woke or anything. It's
Yeah,
just, like I said, the creators, the guys who made the game are behind this show 100%. They're literally creators of this show as well. So they knew
yeah.
what they were doing when it came to casting.
I was really excited seeing like, the opening credits are finishing and Neil Druckmann's name is in there
Yeah,
to help with the
along
TV adaptation. I was like, oh, it's
along along
good.
along with the music from the game too.
Exactly.
So
Oh
that's gonna
my
be like the
god.
intro. That's gonna be the main theme we're gonna be hearing for the next,
Oh,
8 weeks, which I'm okay with personally.
honestly, yeah.
I
Yeah.
do like who they I do like who they cast as Tommy though, because he sounds like Joel's brother, especially during this, again, spoilers, especially during the scene where Tommy calls Joel from jail, and you can actually hear that accent that sounds like Tommy.
Oh, 100%. I like who they picked for Tommy. And like I said, he doesn't look like the game model. That's not what I'm concerned about. He seems like he totally nailed, the character's personality. They did put like a tiny little detail in the show that Tommy had gone to jail and Joel had to go bail him out.
Mhm.
And I thought that was very fascinating. I
Oh,
loved that,
yeah.
to kind of, you picture Tommy being the good guy that he is. He's at a bar, some zombies taking over, and he has to go like stop a bar fight.
Yeah, which,
Like, that feels very believable for his
to
character.
the bar patrons, they think as a drunk man, which,
Right.
unlike the game where, after Sarah gives, Joel his gift and she passes out and he puts her to bed,
Yeah.
that's it. In the game, it's like,
He just
"Oh,
kind of
well."
disappears from the house.
Oh, yeah, no, exactly, but in, like, the TV show, it's like, "Oh, shit, well, now I gotta go bail my dumb brother out of jail and
Right.
Leave Sarah here," and,
So
you know
that was a little thing about Tommy that I liked. I was like, okay, that feels believable. And then it also gives Joel a believable reason to be out of the house at 2 a.m.
Yeah, no, it's like I saw the time pass by. I'm like, "Wow." Again, I'm glad they added those. Like, okay, they realized, yeah, that would make sense. So let's just have her where Joel is watching Crimson Viper 2 with the director's cut, which I honestly think, seeing early 2000s, seeing like when DVDs were just becoming a thing, was pretty cool.
Hmm.
Like the scene where Sarah's like, okay, well, I want to see if I can't borrow a DVD, and then during that same scene, I can't remember her name, the elderly woman, how she's just slowly, like, you can't really see it, but she's like,
Oh my god. Yeah, she's like blurred in the background. She's like,
and, and then
oh
you
my
hear
god,
that, and then
it's
you
so
hear that, and then you
creepy.
hear and you hear the clicker noise.
Yeah. I
Okay.
I thought that
Fuck those
was
things.
I thought that was really fascinating, a really good way to kind of, do slow build up
Oh,
to
build
it.
up.
And I'm
Yes.
really interested to see them use that same technique and that same attention to detail, like, in later episodes when we
Oh, yeah.
actually get into, like, clickers and bloaters, and I'm, like, freaking out.
I see the trailers, but because again, unlike the game, our first look at an infected is when Joel comes back inside, telling Sarah to get back. Something's wrong with their neighbors, and then
Yeah.
his neighbors just like bashing on the door, and you hear the dog being unalived. Unlike the show, where you actually get to see the good boy, and I'm not gonna lie, I was afraid the dog was gonna get like you can literally see the dog just banging on the door window. It's like, hey, let me in. There's something going on. No, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. And then just like gets out of his car, like, hey, bitch, you're on your own.
Nah, nah, man. They were like, "Oh, you already have to watch Sarah die. We'll save the dog this time."
Yeah, oh, still hurts. But like again, you know, Sarah doesn't know where her dad is because just like in the game, she's like, hey, dad, where are you? Where are you? He looks in his room. And like in the game, when she goes into his room, you see the TV in the news station at the hospital, talk
Mhm.
about what's going on, and then an explosion. They don't have that in this one. It's
Right.
she actually has to go downstairs, and the TV's like switching the channels, nothing, nothing. Stay inside, blah blah blah. And then she checks on her neighbors after their dog runs away to see what's going on and everything. And then that is when we're introduced into the infector, where it's like I think what a good 4 minutes while she's looking for a dad is when we're introduced to the infected, not like how we were bam
Yeah. When
right
she
away introduced to the infected.
when she walks into the kitchen and she steps straight into, like, like, the trail of blood. Yeah, there was an audible gasp for me, and I was like, "Oh, no. Oh, no." And then she
Oh
turns, and the guy's in the corner. I'm like,
yeah, he's like,
"Oh,
oh, and
no."
then
It just got really real.
his wife's being fed on by the mom. And I will say, if you notice the infected in this one, like if you looked real close when the old woman was feeding on her caretaker or her daughter, you saw like the little fungal things coming out of her mouth.
Yeah, like tendrils.
Yeah, I thought that was a nice little addition. It was creepy,
Oh,
but
it's
it was well
disgusting. I love
done.
it.
And then she gets up and everything,
Oh, I
and
I love that even though she's old, I've also loved in The Last of Us that they have, I guess, different styles of zombies.
well,
Like one was like
quote
more.
infected. They're not
Yeah,
zombies.
yeah,
Sorry. But I get the reason why people will call them zombies because
right.
old films from back in the day. But yeah, no.
But I love that even though she was old, she was still a runner,
Oh
and that
yeah.
that was super creepy.
Oh, I hate runners. I mean, well, technically, it's not her body anymore. The thing that's
Right.
inside her, like what that British scientist was saying. By the way, if anyone recognizes him, that guy played as Jonathan in the Mummy films, which I thought was nice to see. It's like, hey, I know that guy.
Yeah,
But he was, was talking about, if temperatures rise, eventually they could take over us. Like we're not really in control. It's the fungus or the infection, whatever you want to call it, taking over. So basically, and I didn't notice it at first until someone pointed out that when Sarah is looking in the house, you see the wheelchair empty.
right.
I didn't know that. I didn't notice that part because I was more in like, oh shit, we're about to be introduced to the thing. And once that old lady starts chasing Sarah out, that's when Tommy and Joel both show up.
Right.
You know, Tommy's got a rifle and Joel's got a big ass freaking wrench.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I Other little details I like that they added to the characters was I don't think he was in the game, but I like how there's like a little army vet sticker on the back of Joel's truck. I thought that
Oh
was a
yeah,
cool detail.
yeah, yeah. I don't think it was ever mentioned that Joel was an army vet. It was like we know he's a contractor because he's talking to his brother about a deal
Right.
not going their way. Um, but yeah, no, I thought that was a little nice detail. I didn't know. I noticed. Oh, that's a little nice detail. And
Yeah.
then we get introduced to our first Joel kill, unlike the game where he like hesitates to shoot his next door neighbor with a gun, he did not hesitate to whack the old lady in the face with a wrench.
Joel's already seen some things.
Oh yeah, no, they already seen stuff. While Tommy and Joel are driving back to get Sarah, I imagine they've already seen their fair share of whatever. And
Yeah.
then Sarah's freaking out. Joel's like, "Yeah, I actually just did that." And then their next door neighbor comes out like, "Hey, what's going on? Like, get back inside now!" And then
That was a crack up.
Tom
He's
just
just like a
runs.
cranky dad.
Oh no, he had like deal with a lot. I mean, he just had to bail his brother out of jail, so that just made his night not great. And then having to drive back to see all that shit happen, like yeah, I'd be pissed too. I'd yell at my neighbor too if I had to deal with all
Honestly.
that shit and like at
Oh
2 in the
my.
freaking hey, making another appearance again.
Oh yeah, she got scared by the show. She needs comfort snuggles now.
Oh, poor thing. But I mean, a lot happens in the first episode, and I will say I do like the shot for shot when they're in the truck driving to
Yeah,
get out of
that's almost
town.
exactly the same.
Oh yeah, no. I mean,
I
I know that their neighbor's house who burns down is a different name, but like
Yeah,
shot for shot.
I love that they kept the burning house because that was just always one detail from the first game. You think back to the intro and it was always just the burning house. That was just shocking.
Oh yeah. I mean, in the show it's at a different angle. I think it
Right.
was like on the right side when the show's on the left side, and then they keep on driving and they drive past that family. Again, I will admit I do like the word for word, like when Sarah gives, where Joel asks, "Where did you get the money for this?" He said, "Oh, I sell drugs, hardcore drugs." It's like,
Yeah. I love it because she and Ellie definitely have similar personalities. So I like already knowing Ellie. I go into the show, I'm watching Sarah, and I go, oh, look, there are little bits of Ellie here. And I just kind of
oh
love
yeah,
seeing
no,
parallels between the two of them.
oh no, I do like that we get to see more of Sarah and not just like I think what the 15 minutes we get to see Sarah for a
It's
good
bad.
like 20 minutes or so.
Right.
Like we get to see more of what Sarah does, and someone pointed out as well in the class scene when that kid is twitching with their
Hmm.
bracelet. I guess that kid's already sort of getting infected because they're like, when you get infected, you have that twitch,
Ah,
like the
yeah.
old like the old lady did, and the fact that they said, they were Tommy was saying it's mostly people in the city. It's like, well, didn't that old lady again was in the city? It's like, yep. The detail again is just
Right.
honestly it's my favorite thing.
I love that we get more development for Sarah too, because then I just cried way harder when she died.
Yeah, I cried at. I mean, I didn't really feel a whole lot at Sarah's video game death,
Yeah.
but like seeing it how it is in the show, it's crazy. Like she just experienced her father seeing that, and I will say I do love the fake out with the truck
Oh.
when they get hit when the plane crashes, like in
Yep.
the game they get hit by a truck, and I love that little fake out. And they make oh shit, and then they're like, no, we're gonna have planes crashing.
I love that the plane crash in any other context would be just a little too out there, but they just make it work. They make it so believable for the circumstances.
Oh yeah, I mean people on the plane are probably infected, so
Of course, pilots
but
infected.
the passengers, I do love. And I think a lot of people who have seen the show will agree that the plane crash is definitely more impactful than that the truck fake out. Which when I saw that, it's like, oh, they're gonna get hit by that truck. Oh, they're not. What are they? Oh my god, they're gonna get hit by a fucking plane.
It's like something out of an action movie. It's so ridiculous, and they just make it work. I'm like, wow,
Oh
wow,
yeah,
you really know what you're doing.
oh yeah, no, and unlike the game where it's Tommy, Joel, and Sarah running, they get split up,
Right.
and we're introduced to another runner.
Hmm.
We were introduced to all the infected. props to that guy, by the way. I think he did a good chunk of his stunts. When we were introduced to the runner,
Right.
when Sarah and Joel get separated with Tommy, which I'm glad Tommy has a rifle instead of a pistol, like in the game.
Yeah,
It
he's a little better.
it works again. It was like, wait, why does Joel have a wrench? Why does Tommy? You know what? I got hooked the first 5 minutes. I'm not gonna question anything. But that scene where they're being chased by the runner, and I hate the runners in the game. So just like they're being chased by that runner, and unlike they're being chased by that runner as soon as they run out of the restaurant, because I think in the game they were running through a bar.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, they were running through a bar, and then they're running through the restaurant, being chased by that one runner because they were chased by multiple in the game, and then they get shot by that soldier. Which if anyone's familiar, we all know what's gonna happen.
Ugh.
We know, and it's almost word for word. I say, hey, there's two people, we're not infected, but sir, sorry,
Yeah,
you know,
that was awful.
yeah.
I love how that
That scene made
scene.
me cry though.
Yeah, right. I Sarah's actor did a really good job presenting the death, and I mean, also, just fleshing Sarah out as a whole. Because even though we don't like, Sarah has this teeny little role in the entire series of The Last of Us, but she really is this huge like
Oh
pivot
no,
point for everything that
the
happens in
creators are
the.
like, if you don't cry, if you didn't cry then, you're gonna fucking cry now.
I mean, if we don't
And
understand Sarah, like we don't understand Joel's
I
feelings.
think even like Neil wanted to, like, yeah, we want to flesh Sarah out more because you get to play as her for like a couple of minutes,
Yeah,
thinking, oh, this is who we're gonna play as. Oh, that's not who we're gonna play as. And a good chunk of the first episode was from Sarah's perspective.
right.
They kind of did like what they did with the games, like, okay, here's Sarah's perspective from the game, here's Sarah's perspective from the show. And oof, yeah.
I also love how Joel later in the episode he relives the scene where he's with the soldier and he's with Sarah and they get shot and he relives that when he's out with Ellie.
Oh yeah, which, well, like I said, we'll talk about. So we're jumped 20 years later. You know, everything's gone to shit, and then next thing you know, we see this kid just walking to the quarantine zone in Boston. Like, we don't know what's going on. I'm just thinking to myself, who is this? Is this like a new main character? Gets gets taken in by the federal soldiers, and gets wrapped, just basically harnessed to a wheelchair and everything. Like, the lady's talking, hey, we're just we're gonna do this checkup on you, blah blah blah. Then he gets hit with the scanner, which I do like how in the game it said that if someone was infected, it would say infected. If they were clear, they were clear. In this one, it's an obvious green and red.
Right. It's really easy to read.
And like when they give him the shot, it's like, oh, they're giving a shot. They're like, what's red mean? I didn't know what red meant. And then like they're giving the shot, like, what's still going on? And then it's like, all those people throwing the dead bodies into the burn pile, and then
Yep, there
you
goes
see
the kid.
yeah, you see the lady's like, she looks like, I can't do this. Like, what does she mean? And Joel's looking at like, oh, God, I mean, Sarah's death was dark, but that, like, no, we saw a teenager being killed. We're gonna show like a 9-10-year-old being killed. We don't care. Oh,
Yeah, the minute they put him in the wheelchair, I was like, oh no. Oh no, I know where this is going.
yeah, with the euthanization needle and
Oh, that
everything,
was
like,
rough.
she that Federated is like, yeah, we're gonna get you fed, we're gonna get you toys, we're gonna get you clothes, keeping his hopes up, and we're gonna give this medicine, and then just like everything will be fine. Like, not even like a minute later, nope, sorry.
Feds are rough.
This ain't a fairy tale. There's no happy ending with this series.
Yeah, I love the other little details there are in town, like the public hanging. I really liked that. It really gives you an idea of what kind of shithole the QZs are.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, when we see Jill walking in Boston with Tess, we see, people being lined up, taken outside, thinking that they're fireflies, and this one's like Joel is doing anything he can to get enough ration cards from, burying burning dead bodies, working in the sewers, dealing drugs. Like we've never seen Joel like this in like video games. We see more of a rugged, tough, badass cowboy. And this one, we're seeing a man who's just doing anything and everything he can to, you know, get by for the next day. A more
For sure.
realistic. It's more realistic. Like, yeah, if this was an apocalypse, people would be doing that, doing this, doing just anything to get by. And I'm actually glad to finally see what the ration cards look like.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't think we really didn't get to see them as much, but like seeing, Joel, you know, give a Federal soldier pills, they get cigarettes and a ration card, and get ration cards from, the Federal agent at the work desk table station. Like,
It was rough, man. The minute they mentioned the ration cards, I was like, oh, this is a tough go, man.
oh yeah, I mean it's crazy. And then Tess, we're introduced to Tess. What do you think of Tess's introduction? Because we
Oh my
don't we get to see her after she got the living shit kicked and beat out of by Robert's men.
right. I love Tess. Like I liked Tess originally in the game. And I don't know what they did. They just did like this tiny little tweak to make her just a little bit more badass in the show. And I'm just, oh man, I am here for it. I love her to pieces.
I thought it was a nice, because in the game, like when it's 20 years later, we're just shown Tess, hey, yeah, it was Robert's men that jumped me. Robert screwed us over, some guns. This time it's a car battery because Joel is trying to find his brother Tommy to make sure he's still alive.
Right.
And see, I like that they're like, yeah, we're gonna show you some parts that were in the game, but we're also gonna tweak it a bit, change it. Like a car battery, okay, all right. And seeing, Tess being introduced, telling Robert, um, you know, yeah, your guys jump me if you see Joel, like Joel's, I know you're scared of Joel, and if Joel finds out, he's gonna kick your ass, blah blah blah. And then next, the Fireflies, and we're also introduced to the Fireflies, which it was also different from the game because when we see Joel and Tess going through the thing where they said off day, that's when the Fireflies attack.
Yep.
And this one, it's like, Tess gets caught in the middle of it, just Tess, but not Joel and Tess. You
It
know,
was it was nice to see Tess have a few minutes to herself. We get to see her without any other characters because I mean, to like beat a dead horse, there are a couple too many times where I've seen, in like a Marvel movie or whatever, there's like the macho guy, he takes care of the lady regardless of how badass she is, and it was just really nice. It was just a her moment. Just just
hmm
just for a few minutes. We didn't get you know, Joel's not there, no one else is there, it's just her just being a badass.
Joel's just getting fucking plastered and taking pills.
Honestly, like can't blame the guy though.
Oh,
Had a
I
bad
mean,
time.
and I do like the fact how Tess's bruises, from Robert's men to the Fetterman are still there, unlike the game where they magically disappeared.
Yeah.
The fact like you can tell she got well. One, props to the makeup department for making that realistic. Two, she did not have herself a good day. I like how we're actually getting to see more of these characters because we didn't really get to see a whole lot of them in the game.
Right.
And I'm glad they didn't show a whole lot of Robert like they did in the first game. They like, okay,
Yeah.
you're gonna have a few scenes and then you're gonna die. Um, and then finally, like I think, and we're also introduced to Ellie early too this time around.
Yes. In regards to Robert, there's like, you take like your first mission in the game and it's to go hunt down Robert because he screwed you over. I like how they compress that for the show because that's something I'm not sure I'd want to sit and actually watch
Yeah, no, I, I
TV.
I do like. I will say I do not mind the fast pacedness in the show because one runtime, two that's a lot. That's a lot more money you're putting in.
Right.
and that's less money you'll have for the next episode, the next one, and potentially season 2.
But also just because in the grand scheme of things, I mean, Robert's like, he's
He
that. We
he's
don't need
he
to
he
spend a lot of
he
time on
he's
him.
he's a minor character. I will say I do like who they got to pick as Robert because I recognized him from Freddy versus Jason.
I love that.
Yeah, I recognize like, hey, I know that he's not a well-known actor, but like he's been in like a lot of horror stuff, which is like, okay,
Right.
that's pretty cool. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
we're finally introduced to Ellie, who is being held by fireflies.
Hmm.
Like they don't know why she's there. No one knows except for Marlene.
Right.
Like Marlene knows, but like she doesn't tell anyone because in the game, everyone like all the fireflies know who Ellie is and what she's meant to be for. This one, nope. We don't know this kid. We don't know this smart ass kid who we're told her name was Veronica, and then she tells us to, says fuck you after counting to 10.
I So some of my favorite monster movies are where you don't see the monster for the first half of the movie. You just might like the ground shakes, you might see a tail going around a building. So I like that they kept Ellie's purpose, her immunity, a secret for so long. Like there was build up, and by the time they finally reveal it, it's a big surprise.
Oh yeah,
Instead of
no.
giving it away right away.
Oh yeah, no. And also Marlene, fun fact, the gal who plays Marlene is also the voice actor of Marlene from the original game.
I noticed that. My jaw dropped. I was like, I think that's the voice actor
Mm-hmm.
because she
They
looks
even have her
exactly like
wear the because in the if you watch, well, I highly recommend watching through the credits. You'll see why.
mm-hmm.
But like I looked at it, I was like, wait, and she's voiced Marlene and she's played Marlene and she's wearing the exact same outfit.
Oh, that
Which
was perfect.
no, that's good. And um so yeah, well we all that, and then after Joel had his, was the little spoon and getting shit faced, you know, it's like finally like the next day is when, Joel asks, hey, what happened to you? Blah blah blah. It wasn't right away. I'm glad we got to see what Joel had to do to get by,
Right.
you know.
We just got to see them suffering and being people. Like this is their day to day life.
Oh yeah, no, it's like because like again in the game it's like, yeah, Robert screwed us over with weapons. And this one it's like Robert screwed us with the car batteries. Like, all right.
Right. And the car
Oh,
battery, like the whole reason for it, I love that. That felt a little bit more believable or realistic to me. I liked the route they went with Joel's, he's concerned about Tommy, got to go check on Tommy. That seems like a very valid reason for me to like leave a quarantine zone. So I like the route they went with that.
yeah, unlike the games, like Robert screwed us with our weapons. Rah, 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 rah.
Yeah,
Like in this show, they had the intention on leaving.
exactly.
In the game, they had no intention of leaving until they were told by Marlene, "Hey, you got to take this kid to, you know, the Fireflies."
Exactly.
So, and we actually kind of get to see our first infected clicker that's, pressed up against the wall when they're on their way.
It
I
was so
mean,
horrible.
I
So
mean, in the TV in the game, when they're trying to get through all the spores and the infected, we see how you know that one infected was just recently, and this one, which I'm glad there's no need for gas masks. I'm sorry, but I'm kind of glad that they got rid of that
yeah,
because I can't watch every episode. Oh, we got to put in our gas mask. Okay, now we take them. I'll put them back on. It's like
yeah.
I'm so
Yeah.
glad that's why they went with the tendril thing, which was an original concept, because there is deleted dialogue between Joel, Ellie, and Tess saying, if you get close to the tendrils, they'll grab you.
I love that. I like the tendrils too because they're just as believable as the spores. It's just like a slightly different method of like.
Which I can't, which I hope we get to see in episode 2.
Oh, absolutely. I need like the swamp monster to come out and like drag someone down.
I don't know how it's gonna work yet. And they haven't even shown what they're gonna be like, even in the
Right.
trailers. like in the trailers, we see, the clickers, the fucking bloater.
Oh god.
I had just recently finished playing The Last of Us, the PS4 version. I'm like, yeah, I'm not looking forward to seeing you in the show. And I don't know how the bloater's gonna work, because in the game, you know,
Right,
he
it
like
like throws
he like takes
body
things
parts,
off his body and just throws them. So
and
I
then
don't
the spores
know. And
expand.
those are, yeah, it's spores. Yeah, no. So I don't know if, who knows. So keep on fast forwarding. We learn what Ellie's purpose is from Marlene. Marlene only tells one of the fireflies and tells, you got to keep your mouth shut. Blah blah blah. You didn't see or
Mhm.
hear anything. And then Joel and Tess finally reach to where Robert is. They see the blood, and next thing you know, they see Robert dead. It was killed by the fireflies instead of killed by them. And then they find out that their car battery was like corroded.
Right. Yeah,
Like,
that that makes me think of, if you played the game, it's like when they break into the school to get the car battery, and it's kind of
mhm.
this really high risk mission for no payout.
Exactly.
That's exactly what it felt
Like in the game, we got to go find the, oh, there's no car battery. Well, great.
like. Right.
And this one, oh, there's a car. Oh, it's, and he was trying to sell them. Robert was selling the Fireflies a broken battery basically, and that led to a shootout. Like, hey, you screwed us
Right.
over. It's like, well, you didn't say what kind of battery you wanted. You just said you wanted a battery. That leads to a shootout. And I'm glad how we found out how, in the game, it was Fedra that shot Marlene. In the show, it was Robert and his men who shot Marlene.
I liked that. That felt a little more believable, to have some kind of infighting between different groups rather than
We don't get to see it. We saw the aftermath, dead
yeah.
fireflies, Marlene shot, Marlene's um firefly companion's ear completely shot off, and then her berating her is like, shut up, you don't you're talking about, you lost an ear. I'm like, oh damn, she did
Yeah,
lose an ear.
she was like, "You don't even have an ear on your head." And then the camera angle changes. I was like, "Oh, she
Whoa.
does not have an ear." That was very on the nose. I loved that.
Oh yeah, and I do like when when Joel and Tess are finally introduced to Ellie. Unlike the game, where Ellie, just once they walk through the door, she points a gun at him. This show,
Mhm.
nope, we're gonna go the extra mile. We're gonna have Ellie run at Joel, and Joel's just gonna grab her and just chucks her against the wall.
That was hilarious. That felt like the most Ellie and Joel thing I've ever seen.
And
What an
she
intro.
doesn't even have a gun. She has like a switchblade,
I know, it's like a little toothpick.
and it's like, what the hell is this? And then he's just like keeping the knife from her, and her cussing at him and everything. And it's like, yeah, that's Ellie. That sounds like Ashley. That sounds like Ashley Johnson's Ellie. And you can kind of hear Ellie's voice kind of sound like Ashley. For an actress who's British in real life, her
Right.
American is not bad.
Yeah, I was convinced by her American accent, so I liked it. And her line delivery, very good. Definitely, hearing Ellie in the line delivery.
Oh yeah, and I know some people aren't too thrilled with Bella Ramsey. That's okay. I know a lot of people were wanting someone else, but it's like, you're given what you got, and you either like it or you don't.
Yeah.
Let those who like it enjoy it, and if you don't like it, that's valid. I get it.
Yeah.
Not, and sometimes even like the perfect cast, the perfectly cast actor won't always do well. And I think, you know, Bella Ramsey as Ellie, I'm looking forward to see where her character goes through the rest of the series. We don't know. We don't really get a whole lot from her. We get, when we're first introduced to her, when she's Marlene, when she's, introduced to Joel and Tess, and they're like, yeah, you got to take this kid and like, you know, yeah, take her, kill her, I don't care.
I love
uh,
Marlene's line in the show. She's very particular, like, because we still don't know what's up with Ellie yet, but Joel's pointing the gun at Ellie, and Marlene goes, "No, point the gun at me, not at her.
Oh yeah.
No
Yeah,
one knows
it's not.
what's going on, but everyone knows something's going on.
Oh yeah, no, and I like how we're like how, and they don't even say it when Marlene is talking to her second in command. You know, like it's not like we those who played the game, we know what's going on. Like we
Mhm.
know, like why Marlene's telling you don't say a word. You didn't see what I'm showing you. Like again, if those who again this I know I said the minor spoilers. There's called a lot of spoilers. So if as I said in the beginning, and I'm saying now, if you don't want to finish watching this, I recommend pausing this, watching the show, and then coming back. Also, feel free to leave a comment on your thoughts on the show and what you may expect to see in episode 2. So, they get their stuff, they stop by their house, which in the game, and then they go to a different safe house and everything.
Mhm.
And this, they just, yeah, no, we're gonna go back to our apartment.
Yep.
Tess leaves to do whatever Tess is doing. Joel, again, another scene recreated is when, Joel lays on the couch. I don't care what you do, passing time,
Right.
and then Ellie says your watch is broken. And that was a complaint I saw. Like people were saying, oh, that scene was too fast paced. Like, well, you kind of have to with TV shows, you kind of have to, you know, go fast paced. Unlike video games where you can, you know, do whatever you want. Movies and TV shows, you got like, okay, yeah, we kind of got to rush it a bit.
For the pace of
You can't.
a show, felt fine for me, got the point across. I did like, of course, I like Joel falling asleep on the couch like he did in the
Oh yeah.
game. But I like how Ellie picks up the book of songs. And because right now we've only seen Ellie being a turd maliciously. But this is the first time we kind of see Ellie, she's kind of having a little bit of fun with
Oh
the
yeah.
songs. And you kind of see her almost being like a normal kid if there aren't
Oh
even
yeah.
kids anymore.
Yeah, because we get to see the funny side of Ellie. We didn't get to see that. Actually, I don't think we got to see a whole lot of that in the game. I
Not
can't
until like
recall.
halfway through, right?
No, like okay, that's the character. Like this Ellie is not from what I've seen. This Ellie is not like video game Ellie. Like yeah, there are some aspects, but then again, you also see more.
Yeah. In my mind, video game Ellie acts 100% like an adult. And I have every reason to believe why she would act that way, given the world she's grown up in. But I like
Right.
how in the show they're reminding us she's still a kid. Look at
Yeah,
her
she's she's
making fun of
she's
the
she's
songbook.
she's she's like yeah, she's a teenager, so
Yep.
she's gonna act like a teenager. Telling adults to say fuck you or bust a man's balls about a song. So last thing for our thoughts, we're finally get to the ending, where they're trying to escort Ellie out. They get they're trying to sneak past the one Fedrigar, not 3, just the one. And it's that guy who Joel was dealing drugs to trade cigarettes and ration cards with. The one
I
he
love
was
this
the one who said,
Discord.
yeah, the one that Joel said, yeah, we're gonna get you out of the city too. Because I like that they actually gave the Fedrigars, they made him more human,
Yeah.
not like your standard sir, yes sir type thing in the game. Like they are actually from the Fedrigar were first introduced to when with the kid to like those are actual, yeah, that's how people would most likely be.
Right. Fedra felt real instead of like, this faceless monolith like it is in the game.
Oh yeah, no. So instead of the 3, I'm glad it was like just the one guard because we did get to see him early in the episode, and it's like he sees Joel and Tess with the kid like, wait, what are you doing? Why are you leaving? You were supposed to blah 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 take me. So he tells them to get on their knees, turn around, get on their knees, and he take the thing with the I don't know what it's called, the test machine thing. I don't know what the actual word is, but Joel Tess, and then like Ellie like realized, oh shit, yeah, because Ellie has a bite
Really
mark,
suspected.
and she again she recreates the scene where she takes out her knife and stabs him,
Yeah. Loved
and
that. Felt very Ellie.
oh yeah, and unlike the game where they fight off the guard, shoot him, like Joel is standing in front of it's raining, standing in front of Ellie. The guard tells him to move because I think he saw before he got stabbed.
Right.
And the next scene, we see a flashback scene of when Joel and it's with Sarah with that one soldier. So next thing we know, Joel gets all mad. He doesn't want to see another kid die because he's already by now. He's like, I have to protect this kid. Unlike
He
in the
says
game
he's
where
not attached. He's attached.
unlike in the game where he didn't give a shit about Ellie for like
Yeah.
a good few levels. It's like, no, I don't want to see this kid, So he just goes full ham, like he beats the shit out of this guy, and Ellie's in the background, like not scared, like okay.
I love
She
that she
kind of
almost
seemed to enjoy that.
right. I love that she kind of enjoys it a little bit because she mentions she's an orphan, so she's never had anyone to like go up to bat for her, and so finally someone has done wrong by her, and someone else is sticking up for her, and she's like, "Oh, well, that's kind of nice."
You can see that slight smirk
Yeah.
from her, unlike like, oh shit, did we actually? I thought we were just gonna hold them up or something, not like shoot them. And this one's like, no, where I'm not gonna. And Joel uses his bare fist. He doesn't use a gun. He uses
Yeah, that's
his bare
hardcore.
fist. Like again, it's kind of realistic in my opinion.
Agreed. Yeah.
So that happens, and then they finally leave the quarantine zone into that abandoned city of Boston, which almost reminds me of what we saw in the game, how the buildings were like all bent and everything, and then
Yeah.
right before the credits roll, we hear a clicker,
Mm-hmm.
and someone pointed out that if you pause it, zoom in this way, you actually see a clicker on top of a roof.
Oh God. Great.
Well, now we know what the next episode is going to be like. So, before we talk about our opinion for what episode 2 may be like, what were your thoughts on episode 1, and did they exceed your expectations?
Yeah, definitely exceeded my expectations. I don't really know what I was going in expecting, but super thrilled with it. Loved the episode. I've actually watched it twice now because I have no chill.
Oh, I may have to watch it. I may have to watch it. I may have to watch it again because I may have to watch it Saturday just so I can prepare for it to come out on Sunday. Yeah, it exceeded my expectations. Honestly, nothing really negative. Honestly, like I said, the first 5 minutes, I was hooked.
Yeah.
So
It's
yeah,
compelling from the start.
Oh no, definitely. So I guess kind of my minor thought. Well, I wouldn't say thoughts. I guess episode 2. I know with how long this series is, with how long the episodes may be, we'll probably get to see. I hope it shows Tess getting bit, because in the game we don't see her get bit, but we know when she's being attacked by that runner in the War History Museum. Like we know,
Right.
yeah, that's the moment she gets bit. But like, I'm kind of hoping that we actually get to see her get bit, and
And then we can
she'll
cry
most
about
likely
it.
end up she'll most likely end up hiding it.
Yeah.
And I also noticed that there's a theme. They introduced a lot of characters, but not like you know rushed or anything. But like it just it's not just focused on our main protagonist. It's focused on other people. So we may get to see a flashback scene, because I know in the trailer it showed Riley from the Left Behind DLC, which I think
Yes.
is a nice little touch.
I like that they mentioned her right away when Marlene talks to Ellie.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's a little Easter egg.
Oh yeah, and it's like you see the trailer, you see them on the merry-go-round again, just like in the DLC, which again I think is cool.
Yeah.
From the trailers I've seen, from the trailers you've seen, what are you looking forward to from what you saw in the trailers?
As far as the trailers, so this is kind of something, that I saw in the trailer and something I've been thinking I'm hoping they will expand on. I don't remember which city they're passing through, but their car gets run off the road and they're attacked. Like their car is hijacked and they're hunted through the city and they run into a
Oh,
pair
by
of
the
brothers. So I'm really excited for the brothers because, they just crush my heart every single time. And at one point during the game, Mars jumped.
Salmon. I can't remember the other name.
I want to say Sam and Henry, but I cannot say
Yeah,
which.
yeah, yeah. It is Sam and Henry. That may be a third episode.
Yeah,
Judging
and
by the pace they're going.
I love them and I'm not going to be ready. But when their car is jumped in the game, Joel says, I have been on the other side of that fence. Like, I have been the jumper. And I really hope we get
Ooh,
some explanation about that.
that would be cool to see a flashback scene of where he said he's been on both ends of being jumped and being the one who does the jumping. I honestly
Exactly.
would like to see that.
Yeah, because that
Again,
city, my favorite.
oh yeah,
So
no,
much stuff.
that may be a third episode. I will say in the trailer, I got excited when I saw two cameo roles. We saw Ashley Johnson as Ellie's mother,
Yes.
and we also saw Troy Baker as one of David's henchmen. I think he may be playing it could be wrong, but he could be playing the role of James, the one who David tells to go get the medication and everything while out here
Yes.
with Ellie, which I don't know how they're going to do that scene, honestly, because in the game, we know.
Right.
We know. I don't know how they're going to go about it in a show.
I
With
love Troy Baker. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, again, like I said, for those who are watching, who didn't opt out right away, let me know in the comments what your thought was and what you're looking forward to. I think that should do it. I know we'll be doing this again next Friday to talk about episode 2 after that, comes out.
Can't wait.
Oh no, I can't wait either. So
Oh,
yeah, I think I think that should do it. Again, Kyra, thank you for coming on for the second live broadcast for Geeking Out for the news segment. What are your thoughts?
just lots of excitement. That's
Oh
it.
yeah, no, you're not the only one who's this one. As always, I'm Wayne the Unknown. Until next time, thank you for listening, and as always, thank you for watching.